It is now 1 p.m. when it's time to start this meeting. Roll call. Let's see. Mr. Goodman,
Present.
Mr. Burtz,
I'm present.
Mr. Helford, Sandra, Ms. Krieger. Not here.
Absent excused.
So we don't, okay. Mrs. McBride,
Present.
Mr. Shabbat.
You just ask Chris.
And I'm just going to state plating members that are absent and excused are plating members Cone and Krieger, and our District 4 seat is vacant at the moment.
Can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
I have an addition to the agenda. We need to elect officers or discuss the election of officers for 2025. We can make that right before or after approval of minutes before audience participation. So do we have, I guess we would, after that, if that's acceptable, we will move on to the approval of minutes.
So do we want to delay election of officers until the next meeting, or do we want to do it?
Okay, let's just go ahead and have that discussion now before we do approval of the minutes. So that will be next. So we have, we need to elect officers. We would entertain a motion to elect officers, and then after a second, we can discuss the process, and that's when we can decide if we want to delay it until February or make it today. So we need someone to put forth a motion to approve officers for 2025.
I move to approve officers for 2025.
I'll second it.
You're good. Now open for discussion.
Okay, I'm willing to serve as chair. And we need someone that's willing to serve as vice chair. Do we want to,
Let's approach it one seat at a time. You're offering to be chair for the board for 2025?
I am.
Okay, is there anybody else who would like to be chair or can think of someone else for chair? And then we can have a vote on whether or not, so seeing none, I would say we can vote for chair, or if no one has any objections, we can approve Ms. Draxler as chair by unanimous consent. So seeing and hearing none, Ms. Draxler will be the chair for 2025. Does anyone present wish to be the vice chair for 2025? Or do you have another member you would recommend for that? And let's remember, Mr. Cohn has removed himself for the discussion at this time. We could always move to elect a vice chair at the February meeting as well. So kind of a decision for the board to make.
I'd make a recommendation that since the board's going to have a shuffle, that decision is made the first meeting in February. I would make that motion.
Do we have a second?
I second the motion.
Beautiful.
Do you wish to discuss it all, or we're good with that? Good with the plan. So in February, we're going to work at electing a vice chair. Okay, so we're clear on that. Next, we're back to the approval of minutes on the list. I'm sorry, we've had a bit of a toss-up with our platting board. We had 3 members either resign or termed out. And so today we wound up with none of our officers present, so we have to make officers by code, first meeting of the year, and so we got through that quickly. We didn't know if this was going to go quickly or not. Now we'll move back onto the regular structure of the meeting.
Okay, so we need approval of the minutes, right? Okay, can I get a motion to approve the minutes?
I motion to approve the minutes.
Can I get a second?
Second.
The minutes are approved. And so we have audience participation is,
That's where you read out that anybody who wishes to participate on subjects not being covered by today's meeting, which doesn't look like we have anybody. But
Okay.
they give that opportunity.
okay, is there anybody present that would like to speak on anything that's not related to a case that we're doing? I see none and no one's online. We have to check that.
Nobody,
Okay, no one's online.
we have no unfinished business.
No unfinished business, no reconsiderations. So then we go on to public hearings on Camelot and the ex parte
You read the description of the case, and then,
and the mailings and stuff. Okay. Okay, so this is Camelot. The request is to create 9 lots from parcel 2, created by waiver resolution 82-46 PWM, recorded as 82-59W, to be known as Camelot, containing 9.96 acres, plus or minus. The petitioner is proposing dedication and construction of West Camelot Court to meet access requirements. The property is located north and east of West Parks Highway, south of Little Susitna River, and directly south of West King Arthur Drive, within the southeast quarter, section 27, township 18 north, range 03 west, Seward Meridian, Alaska, in the city of Houston, and Assembly District number 7. Okay, ex parte. Do you or any member of your immediate family have a substantial financial interest in any property affected by this decision? Or will you recognize a foreseeable profit as a result of this decision? Seeing none. Have you received or otherwise engaged in ex parte contact with the applicant, other parties interested in the application, or members of the public concerning the application or issues presented in this application, either before the application or during any period of time the matter is submitted for decision, outside of the public process provided by the borough? Seeing none, are you able to be impartial in this decision? And I ask for the mailings. Madam Clerk, the mailings, please.
Yes, there were 21 public notices mailed December 5th, 2024.
Thank you. And staff report, please.
Thank you, Chair. My name is Matthew Goddard, Platting Technician. The proposed Camelot subdivision will create 9 lots varying in sizes from 0.92 acres up to 1.13 acres. The project is located within the Houston city limits. Access for the subdivision is from North Gallagher Circle, a City of Houston maintained road. The petitioner is proposing the dedication and construction of an internal road to serve as access for the lots being created. A geotechnical report was submitted pursuant to Borough Code 4320-281A. Curtis Holler, a registered professional engineer, notes that the proposed lots will contain over 10,000 square feet of contiguous usable septic area and an additional 10,000 square feet of usable building area. A test hole map and drainage plan were submitted as a part of the soils report, and these can be seen at exhibit page 10. An as-built and topographic mapping was submitted, and that's seen at exhibit page 7. An average daily traffic estimate was submitted as seen at exhibit page 20. Matsu Borough Public Works Department notes that the petitioner will need to coordinate with the City of Houston for road approval and access onto King Arthur Drive. This is seen at recommendation number 4. Matsu Borough Planning Department notes this parcel has a designated special flood hazard area identified on it and therefore is required under MSB 17.29 to meet the development and permitting requirements for encroaching into this special flood hazard area before beginning any work. This includes clearing, grading, excavation, fill, and storage of equipment or material, and could require engineering. Platting staff notes that the proposed roadwork does not appear to encroach on the special flood hazard area, as such would not require a permit as part of the platting process. However, should the work extend into the special flood hazard area, the petitioner would need to obtain the appropriate permitting prior to performing the work. There were no objections received from any federal or state agencies, borough departments, or utilities. There were no comments received from the public in response to the notice of public hearing. In conclusion, the proposed Camelot subdivision is consistent with Alaska statutes and borough code. There were no objections received from any federal, state agencies, borough departments, or utilities. There were no comments received from the public in response to the notice of public hearing. The proposed subdivision is located within City of Houston limits, and staff recommends approval of the proposed Camelot subdivision with 7 findings of fact and 7 recommendations for conditions of approval.
Thank you. Would the petitioner or the petitioner's representative like to come up and speak for up to 5 minutes?
And this is just a time for you to give an overview of what you're doing. We'll call you back up after public hearing. It doesn't look like there's many people here to comment, so you'll probably be coming right back up.
Good afternoon. Josh Kraft, I'm the managing partner of Crafty Enterprises. Good afternoon and happy new year to everyone. I'm mostly just standing up to introduce myself and make you guys aware that I am here to answer any questions if there are any. I've been working with Mr. Goddard to get through this process for the last several months and look forward to finishing it up. So I don't have any comments. I think everything was in the paperwork. So thank you.
Thank you.
Now you open hearing for public
Turn
comment.
off the mic.
In the audience present or online wishes to speak. There is nobody online, so we're good for that.
There's nobody here. I'm opening up for public comment. Seeing none.
Nobody's online. Close public comment, and you ask the petitioner back up if the board is going to have any questions.
Okay, I'm closing public comment, and I invite the petitioner to come back up. Does anybody have any questions?
Questions? Thank you. It's that kind of a process. We'll get much better at it. This is always how it goes. But it come like October, Michelle's going to be whipping this thing out.
Yeah,
It's no problem. So
fish out of water right now,
now
yeah.
you close petitioner period and you entertain a motion.
Okay, petitioner's period is now closed, and I would entertain a motion.
I move to approve the preliminary plat of Camelot, Section 27, Township 18 North, Range 03 West, Seward Meridian, Alaska, contingent on staff recommendations.
Second.
Thank you. Does anybody have any objections? Seeing none, it has been approved. Next item on agenda is out hunting. The request is to create 7 lots from lots 2 and 3, Block 3, done working plat number 78-65 to be known as out hunting, containing 10.29 acres plus or minus. The property is located directly north of South Gone Fishing Drive, east of West Aralai Road, and north of West Sunset Avenue, lying within Section 28, Township 17 North, Range 02 West, Seward Meridian, Alaska, in the Kinnick Fairview Community Council and Assembly District Number 5. Do you or any member of your immediate family have a substantial financial interest in any property affected by this decision, or will you recognize a foreseeable profit as a result of this decision? Seeing none, have you received or otherwise engaged in ex parte contact with the applicant, other parties interested in the application, or members of the public concerning the application or issues presented in this application, either before the application or during any period of time the matter is submitted for decision, outside of the public process provided by the borough? Seeing none, are you able to be impartial in this decision? Seeing an affirmative. Madam Clerk, the mailings, please.
Yes, there were 73 public notices mailed December 5th, 2024.
Thank you. And staff report, please.
Thank you, Chair. The proposed subdivision is creating 7 lots ranging in size from 0.95 acres to 3.6 acres. Proposed lots will take access from South Gone Fishing Drive and West Born Lazy Way. Both roads are owned and maintained by the borough. A geotechnical report was submitted by Bill Klebesaddle, professional engineer. He conducted 3 test holes for the proposed subdivisions. In the report, the engineer states all lots contain sufficient overall area. All have at least 10,000 square feet of usable building area. All have at least 10,000 square feet of contiguous usable septic area. This is found at Exhibit B. For comments, U.S. Army Corps of Engineers does not object. They gave information on dredging and filling. MSB Pre-Design and Engineering has no comment. MSB Permit Center has no comment. Utilities did not respond. Public, the neighbor directly to the west, objects to this proposal. There were no objections received from borough departments, outside agencies at the time of this staff report. Comments received after the report was written are in the handouts. The plat of out hunting is consistent with state statute and borough code. A soils report was submitted. Legal and physical access exist. As-built survey and topographic information were submitted. There were no objections received from borough departments, outside agencies, or utilities at the time of the staff report. Staff recommends approval of the preliminary plat of out hunting based on these 5 findings of fact and 6 conditions of approval. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gerlin. Would the petitioner's representative or the petitioner like to come up and speak? No? Okay.
He doesn't want to come, he doesn't want to walk up and sit back down.
Okay.
That's really one of the things we do when there's a large crowd, and you just want to try to get something out to the public so that they understand what the case is about. It gives a chance for them to get ahead of it, so it's completely optional tonight.
Okay, so
Now you open for public hearing, so for public comment.
any public comment? Could you please state your name?
Shy hair. I don't know.
Did you need to sign in and state your name? You can each comment separately if you would.
Nick Axtell.
Oh, okay. So when we got the notice for the subdivision, the very first thing that came to mind is the CCRs that we signed when we bought the lot 2 years ago. It clearly states that lot usage, no lot shall be re-subdivided, split, or broken up into part or parcel for sale, resale, lease, or rent. So I don't understand how they would be allowed to do that. It also states that any lots larger than 50,000 square feet shall be used for a single family or duplex. When purchasing the lot, that was one of our main factors in purchasing the lot, is that we were clear that it was not to be subdivided. The proposed subdivision creates, is it 4 lots that share a lot? 3 lots that share a lot line with us. We would not have purchased the lot at all if this was to be brought to our attention before the purchase of it. Lot 6 is right next to where our well has currently been drilled as of 3 weeks ago.
A little bit longer.
So I'm not sure if the usable area would still be usable for our 100-foot radius from the well. Yeah, no. And I do agree with the other,
Because there was another objection.
there was
aside from
another
that.
objection, yes, who also brought up the location of the driveway, which I do agree that there is going to be 3 driveways located from lot 4 to the corner of Born Lazy and Gone Fishing. There will be 3 driveways in that like 50-foot span. Again, lot 6, if they were to drill a well, it would be close to ours, so we were concerned about the water production for the wells for each of the lots.
Basically, we never would have built out, well,
Are currently
we
building a
got
house.
this notice, like a couple days after they started the foundation.
Yeah.
For our house, and this is supposed to be our dream house, and not supposed to have neighbor, maybe one neighbor next to us. It's an empty lot when we bought it. We waited a few years to start building on it. And now that we start building on it, we found out that we're gonna have 3 neighbors that share our property line. And we just object on every level.
Anything else that I need to say? Good.
Yeah, this is a more of a, you
I know, we
presenting
just present.
more than we present answers, because
Okay.
the planning board doesn't generally have answers
To the things.
to the, I mean,
Okay, so
so-
yes, we object.
it's kind of, you make your comments, then the petitioner may respond to them when they get their next time to speak up, or they may not. It depends on how that goes. We don't get to dictate what the developers or the petitioner says, but that's how the process, you make your comments, bring up anything that you think may be a code violation or a concern with codes, and
I don't understand how CCRs can be a thing. I am also a realtor, so I don't understand how I can project to people that they're buying a house or a lot in a subdivision and these are the rules that you need to abide by. And then someone can come over and just say, no, I'm just going to pay money to whoever they need to pay money to, and those rules are no longer followed. So that's all I have to say.
we can talk that about, but there's no one else to do. We can discuss. We can go that and discuss. We will go. I'm prepared to go. I had
A lot of people that don't understand that.
Yeah. So you asked if anybody else does speak, there is nobody online, so
Okay, so,
just ask if anybody else, obviously, it just needs to be there for the recording.
okay, is there anybody else that would like to speak?
If no one,
Seeing none, so petitioner,
close public comment and open for and ask the petitioner to come up.
okay, public comment is now closed. Would the petitioner please come up?
Good afternoon. My name is Craig Hansen. I'm a surveyor representing the petitioner. Not a whole lot to say. Just here to answer questions, basically. Now, this issue of the CCRs that they brought up is something, this is the first I've heard of it. As we were sitting here, I texted back to my guy in the office, and we don't have a copy of it, so I can't say much to that, other than that this is merely a preliminary approval, and it's my understanding that CCRs are not something that this board addresses. Fred will obviously be the one to speak to that issue. Other than that, I'd be glad to answer questions.
Could you speak to the concern that she has about the well,
Regarding that well, that's likewise something that's new to me. If they just drilled it within the last few weeks, I certainly don't know anything about it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Close the public hearing and entertain.
Okay. Petitioner's comments closed. I would entertain a motion.
I move to approve the preliminary plat of Al Hunton, Section 6, Township 17 North, Range 01 West, Seward Meridian, Alaska, contingent on staff recommendations 1 through 6 and findings of fact 1 through 5.
Thank you, Mr. Burtz. Do I have a second?
A second.
Thank you. Is there any objection?
Before, because we don't want to rule, right? If you want to discuss, there has been some questions about CCRs and covenants, conditions and restrictions. CCRs are not something. It's a civil matter. It's between two private entities. It's or all of the private entity. With the borough's position is that we do not interpret nor enforce CCRs. If you feel your CCRs are being violated, it's a legal matter between yourself and the person violating it. The Matsu Borough we don't weigh in on that. What we look at is, does this subdivision meet the subdivision requirements of Title 43? That's what we're here to rule on. Whether it violates CCRs is for the courts to decide if that's the case, if it's brought that far. Like Mr. Hansen said, what he's seeking here, what you get here is basically the preliminary approval to keep moving forward. And then if citizens feel they are affected that way, then they have to address that legally. That's just where we sit. Since it's a private agreement, we're not a party to that. The Matsu Borough is not a party to CCRs. We may record them with a plat. We don't read them. We don't, all we do is make sure that they're noted on the plat that they recorded these CCRs with them. So there's not a lot of borough weigh-in on what there is none. We don't interpret nor enforce. So it's kind of it's unfortunately something that the public has to take upon themselves against another member of the public.
Thank you, Mr. Wagner. I hope that answered your question. I'm sorry.
We don't usually do this back and forth, but we'll go ahead and do it. Our code actually does not address water, whether or not you can find water on your lot. There are other ways to get water. You can have water delivered. You can. It's not something our code contemplates. What we do contemplate is usable septic area to make sure that we're not. Making sure that septic area doesn't encroach into our aquifers. So making sure that lots can safely attenuate septic. Water is not something it's not in our purview. There's no area in code that says lots must have water, that you must find water on a lot. There are, I won't say many, but there are lots within the valley, they have water delivered. And there are lots that don't have, that have water that has arsenic in it that they find in their wells. So they have to find other alternatives. So the code itself doesn't contemplate water wells. I'm not. basically, I'm going to have to leave it at our code doesn't contemplate water. If you wish to contact my office outside of this meeting, I'll happily discuss this much more in depth that I can. We're not supposed to do a back and forth here. It's not fair to the petitioner, the way the process is supposed, the way Robert's rules of orders go. But I'd be happy to talk to you about this. I'll give you my business card before we get out of here, and we can discuss further. Yep, we're back on. If there's further discussion, if not, is there any objection to approving with unanimous consent?
Okay, is there any further discussion? Seeing none, any objection? It has been approved.
The next step on our list here, business, we have done, and then providing officer cap.
Okay, we have no items of business, so any comments from planning staff?
Fred Wagner, Platting Officer. Thank you, Madam Chairman. We have no cases for the January 16th meeting. We anticipate a case for the February 6, 2025 meeting. However, at the time of writing the agenda, we didn't know what that case will be. I'm pretty sure we do have one.
We do have one.
Okay, yes, we do have one. I do want to thank everybody. It was a little weird this morning without having any officers present before. I think this is handled very well, relatively quickly, in fact. Happy New Year to everyone. Welcome to our board member. Appreciate again our alternates showing up. We did consider both alternates to fill the positions vacated, but neither of you were in a district that vacated their seat. And so while it's not mandated that every district is represented, we always try to do that. And the mayor's policy is to let the assembly person help decide that. So we did push that if they didn't get one, that either of you would be welcome as full-time members if that's what you were interested in. And we will keep looking for, if your district opens up. I like the idea of moving alternates into full-time seats because you're familiar with what we're doing. Again, Happy New Year, everyone. I look forward to a good 2025. Ms. Canine, do you have anything?
Yes. Happy New Year. I wanted to welcome Chris on board here. And then from my understanding, it's Mr. Goodman's last meeting. So farewell. It has been wonderful working with you. And that's all I have.
Comments from the board? Mr. Goodman?
It's definitely been an interesting learning experience on the planning board. Trust me when I say that we listen to your concerns as a public. There's been several cases over the tenure of my time that unless we went with actual building ordinances and codes, or zoning is the more appropriate word. And I think that's part of the reason that a number of people in this valley moved here, that wasn't a requirement. And there's been many board discussions regarding that and how that would be brought through the assembly. It's been an interesting ride, not pretty much similar to my experience of getting back in the state and getting back, but it's been a privilege and it's been fun, with moments of tenseness, but I appreciate all the work that the board actually does put in, that Fred, Gers, and our planning staff put on the agenda. So it's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Mr. Burtz.
Well, I've just finished my first year on the board, and I've learned a lot. I was one that sided with people with, that had covenants and everything in their subdivisions. I couldn't figure out why we weren't looking at those, but I have gotten an education. There's just a limit. We're into a limited scope as this board, what we can look at. But you do have other options outside this board that you're going to just have to take up. And And I don't know how well that goes, but your assembly is one way to go to try to get things changed. But anyway, our hands are tied a lot here, but it's still good that we do have the public here to oversee some of this and make sure it is, in the public eyes and being approved. But thank you, Michelle, for stepping up.
Thank you. Ms. McBride? That's okay, you don't have to say anything. Okay, no comment?
No comment.
Chris?
I'm new, so I'm going to keep my mouth shut because my wife will get mad. But thank you for the opportunity, and I look forward to working with everybody.
Thank you, Chris. There are cases, that are really difficult for us to make a decision on. Some of them just don't seem fair, and like it was stated, our hands are tied, and, a lot of the public don't understand that. I certainly empathize with you, and I hope the best for you guys in finding some resolution to your issues. And thank you for your patience. I managed to fumble through this. And I look forward to serving as chair. This meeting is now adjourned at 1:37 p.m. Thank you all.